get started. We have several committee members that are in committee meetings. If you'll quieten down just a bit, please. We'll get started with the meeting, and those other committee members can come in, and we'll go from there when they get here. But we'll get started. Clerk, can you call roll, please?
Senator Butler. Here. Senator Figures. Senator Hatcher. Senator Hovey. Here. Senator Kitchens. Senator Price. Here. Senator Shellnut. Senator Smitherman. Senator Stutz. Senator Chasteen.
Here. All right, we'll get started. Would you call the first bill, please?
HB 332 by Representative Faulkner.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think this is on. Not that I need it. All right, testing. There we go.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, probably gonna blow you guys out this early in the morning. Mr. Chairman, members, this is a computer science bill. In 2019, you may recall I passed the computer science bill requiring that computer science be taught in our schools. And it started off with high school, worked its way to middle school, and then went down into even elementary schools. But the State Board of Education, and I'm really proud of where Alabama is. We were the first state to adopt all 9 of Code.org's requirements. And we had that we were probably the 6th state to pass it, but we were the first state to have all 9 of Code.org's requirements. I'm really pleased with how the state has done this, and I applaud our State Board of Education in the way they have treated computer science. The reason we did that was because kids in our state, the jobs that are available for them in computer science were I don't know what's the right word. It's too early in the morning for me. But so we did that, and I'm really glad about the way it's been implemented. In the State Board of Education, I applaud them. They made this a graduation requirement. And so what this law does is it codifies that. It makes it a graduation requirement, just like our State Board of Education wants to do. But it does streamline the language and tighten up the language about what can be puts the embedded language. We have an amendment, Mr. Chairman. I know you're carrying this bill in the Senate, and that amendment will put the embedded language back in. This was working with the superintendents, the State Department of Education, school boards. We want to put that language back in, but tighten it up, and that's what the amendment does.
Let's go ahead and adopt the amendment. I move to adopt the amendment. Second by Senator Butler. All in favor, say aye. Okay, amendment's adopted. Okay, back on the bill.
Yes, sir. Unless there's another question, Mr. Chairman.
So would you and I talked about this briefly, but just kind of walk me through the second page of the amendment. So you have a copy of it?
Yes, sir. Now I do.
All right, so each credit in a department-approved high school or college-level computer science course may count as a college and career readiness indicator. Okay, so I get that part. Okay, then on line 28, when you talk about the department-approved courses with embedded computer science skills and experience shall not count as a college and career ready indicator. Can you explain that?
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, Mark Dixon is a little more well-versed in this than me, but my short answer to you is that those words, embedded computer science skills and experiences, that type of course should not count as a college and careers indicator. And if it's with your permission, could I let him weigh in on that?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Just to clarify, there are 2 types of courses here we're talking about, and this was really to make sure that the superintendents of the department were all on board and comfortable with the bill. As you all know, there's a graduation requirement for computer science, which would include that embedded language. So you could have a course with computer science experiences embedded. There are a lot of career tech courses that fit that description, and so that would count as a graduation requirement. It would not count for that higher level computer science, or excuse me, the college and career readiness indicator. You'd have to take a full computer science course in order for
So for it to count as a college and career indicator, it would have to be the full course in computer science.
That's right.
But if you wanted, say, just say Spanish, okay? Because, you know, I know it's gonna be a challenge for some schools with teachers.
That's right.
So if you use part of the curriculum for computer science in, say, another class, then that would count, but it wouldn't count as an indicator.
That's correct.
Am I correct in the way I understand it?
That's right. And it'd most likely be a career tech course or a science course or a math course, depending on the type. It would have to have, there are specific standards that have to be developed in the code.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you for that, because after you and I talked yesterday, Representative, I read that and I just wanted a little clearer understanding. Okay. Okay, favorable on the amendment, second by Senator Hatcher. Okay, now we're back on the bill as amended. Move for favorable, Senator Hovey, second by Senator Butler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, bill's given a favorable report. Representative Faulkner, thank you for your work on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for carrying it in the Senate, and thank you, members.
Yes, sir, thank you. Okay.
SB 336 by Senator Chambliss.
Good to see you so early this morning, Senator Chambliss.
Sir,
On such a late night.
I'm dragging a little bit.
Aren't we all?
But, I appreciate y'all, taking time to be here this morning. It's, important work. So, the bill that I have is, it was born out of, or came out of discussions with a couple of my local superintendents. And, you know, Taughan and Elmore County are two of the lowest funded systems in the state. And despite recent efforts, that's not going to change. So what we're trying to do is look at every avenue to provide the best education we can for the low dollar that we have. So flexibility is paramount to that. So this bill really does two things, and one is it distinguishes between startups and conversions. Some of the language in the bill, it just calls them conversions, and some things that are required for startups and needed for startups are not necessarily needed for conversions. So it separates and distinguishes between the two of those. And then also it confirms the current practice that a local school board can be the authorizer and the conversion board as well. So that's in a nutshell what it does, and certainly we have some folks here that want to speak to it, and that'll be good. We want to take all the input and make sure we don't create problems, trying to solve problems. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll leave it to y'all, and I can answer questions now or after the public hearing, whatever you're.
I have a question for you before we begin our public hearing. So Elmore and Autauga, are they the base 10 mil for
And barely.
in Barely?
Yeah, because they were 7 before that, so.
Okay, all right.
They've had to make up that 3 mils.
Okay, all right. Okay, so, okay, we're gonna get let's get started with the public hearing. Then when we finish the public hearing, Senator, I'd like for you to come back up and answer any questions or further explanation after we've had the public hearing, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Proponent Richard Dennis.
Good morning. I appreciate, Mr. Chairman, the opportunity to be here and to committee members. I do want to thank Senator Chambliss for the opportunity to support this effort. Just a little background on this situation. I'm in year 36 of my education career. The last 8.5 years as superintendent at Elmore County. Prior to that, 19 years as a high school principal at Hopeville High School, Wetumpka High School, and Prattville High School. So over the years, I've seen the transition that we face in education, and in looking at what's taking place today to seek out a more flexible use of resources, which we are very limited. Currently, I think we rank 136 in the schools in the state per pupil funding in Elmore County. Watauga County is gonna be right there with us. And so we're looking to flex and be able to, be flexible and be able to use resources to maximize what we're able to provide for our students. In doing so, we started looking at the charter option. And about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, we met when Woodfin came in as superintendent to discuss the option of being a charter school system. Is that possible? We had the state finance came in, and we had the state coordinator for charter schools join us. And we had a joint meeting and discussed the option or availability of doing that. And the problem would be that each of us would have to have one board per school, which would be an awkward situation for systems our size. So this would be an option or ability for us to move forward potentially in the future.
30 seconds.
To be more effective in getting that flexibility and looking so we could deal with curriculum, with finance, and also certification issues that we contend with in education today. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Opponent, Emily Schultz.
Thank you to the committee for the opportunity to speak. Thanks to Senator Chambliss for the chance to engage in this conversation. My name is Emily Schultz. I'm the Executive Director of Alabama Families for Great Schools. We connect public charter school stakeholders from the 17 Alabama public charter schools with policymakers like yourselves. We are wholeheartedly supportive of the spirit of SB 336. It's aligned with the strategy behind public charter schools that adults closest to children, educators, parents, school leaders, should be empowered to make decisions that impact their schools. We believe this should be the case regardless of governance. District school leaders should be empowered with flexibility and decision-making power to support their schools. Conversion public charter schools are one way to do that, and most of the changes that SB 336 proposes would make flexibility more accessible to districts via conversion public charter schools. However, we have a few suggestions to improve SB 336 and ensure that it's aligned with the success that we're seeing in the existing 3 conversion public charter schools that exist right here in Montgomery. The first is really clarifying that the operator of a conversion public charter school and an authorizer are distinct and separate. The value of a conversion public charter school relationship as it currently exists is that the operator and the authorizer are different entities. The idea is that the operator of the school determines operational decisions while the district authorizer holds the school operator accountable for outcomes. When the authorizer and the operator are the same, accountability can become watered down. The second is to streamline any language that implies that multiple conversion public charter schools are required to have separate boards. All 3 conversion public charter schools here in Montgomery operate under one governing board, and we're supportive of any language that memorializes that practice for any future conversions. The third is just to maintain the true operational autonomy for any conversion public charter school. Forcing a conversion public charter school to purchase services from a specific vendor or district infringes on operational autonomy.
30 seconds.
Finally, through SB 336 or otherwise, we'd also really welcome any opportunity to support efforts by the legislature to really empower local school systems through the Accountability Act or conversion public charter schools. Really looking forward to working with you all and the bill sponsor to make this reality. Thank you.
Thank you.
Proponent, Lyman Woodfin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The clock runs quick, so I'm gonna get right into it. My name's Lyman Woodfin, I'm the Watauga County School Superintendent. Thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. I want to begin by commending the legislature on the passing of the historic education budget and for working on a solution to our outdated funding formula. The way that we are funded has needed to be adjusted for many years. I applaud the legislature for tackling this monumental task. I also want to applaud our legislature for working to provide families choices as it pertains to their child's education. However, as often is the case, there are unintended consequences that sometimes harms others with the legislation. When the charter law went into effect, I was excited about the possibility of shifting Watauga County to a more flexible curriculum. As Mr. Dennis mentioned, we both met with the ALSD to see what we could do to possibly move our district to a charter district. Long story short, for every school that is in our district, because we both have different feeder patterns, we would have to create a charter school for every school, or a charter board for every school. This would mean 16 different school boards in Elmore and 13 in Watauga. Obviously, this is not feasible. Through the help of Senator Chambliss and our delegation, we addressed this issue in the bill that is before you today. What we are proposing is that the local Board of Education be the only board necessary for a district that has 2 or more charter schools in it. Basically, the local Board of Education votes to become a charter district and then oversees this conversion without the need for a separate authorizing or operating board, as the lady before me spoke about. This Board of Education serves as the sole authorizing authority and oversees the day-to-day operations. This would allow districts to pursue a flexible curriculum to attempt to best meet the needs of our students and teachers. Charter schools were originally sold to the public as schools that would have flexibility with curriculum, but they would not be able to attain local funds. As part of the initial application process, charter schools have to present a financial plan to account for operations without these funds. This trade-off often was used as the justification to allow charter schools flexibility when compared to traditional schools. Now, with the revamped funding models and specific funding allocated to charter schools, it has been ensured that charter schools receive funding
30
comparable
seconds.
to traditional public schools. With the funding mechanism changing so that rules that affect both entities, by allowing districts to serve as the sole authority and eliminating the need for numerous boards overseeing each individual school, districts can then begin to weigh whether it is beneficial to move to district-wide charter schools, thus providing curriculum flexibility for schools and teachers. In summary,
Thank you.
thank you.
Senator Chambliss,
Thank you,
you
Mr.
got to
Chairman.
summarize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. I'll do his son. Essentially, you see here that we have a lot of agreement. The really only challenge is working out the authorizer operator issue. I commit to work with all parties involved in trying to resolve that issue. I think we can resolve that issue. I think there is a solution there, and we just asked for favorable support.
Okay, so you're looking at trying to get the authorizer as the local Board of Education. Is that what you're in?
That's what the bill is currently written.
Okay, good. All right, well, listen, I appreciate your work on this. Any questions for the sponsor? Senator Hatcher.
It's probably for Emily, but did you say that, Emily, here in Montgomery, if I'm remembering correctly, the conversion charter operates under the auspices of the board, the local board, right?
Those conversion schools are still part of the LEA. They are operated by a separate 501c3.
And so so when we raised the question for Senator Chambliss' bill, we have a model already for authorization.
Yes, yes.
Can you kind of offer just briefly I know some of the pros of that, what would be some of the cons?
The cons of
Accountability as it relates to what needs to happen.
So the premise of public charter schools is that the people making the decisions are not the same ones that are holding themselves accountable. We have other levers in state law, like the other half of the Accountability Act, to give local school systems flexibility that they decide on, hold the schools accountable, and so I would recommend that flexibility lie with the Accountability Act and not in the conversion public charter school model because of that really important distinction. So in Montgomery, the Montgomery Education Foundation is running those schools, and the Montgomery County Public School Board is holding the Montgomery Education Foundation accountable for the results in those schools.
And I don't know if Ann Sykes is here, but I know that one of the things that they may have run into some problems with receiving the resources I think that they should be receiving.
Yes, yes.
And have we worked that kink out?
We are working through that. You all passed a law 2 years ago to clarify how that money flows.
Okay.
And we are working with Montgomery County to effectuate that.
That might be helpful to hear Senator Chambliss around some of those issues we were having here around that one. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, do I hear a motion for favorable? Senator Price, second Senator Hatcher. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Senator Chambliss will give a favorable board. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, committee members.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, we will move on to the next bill. We have Representative Halsey. Would you like to handle it, or would you like for me to handle your bill?
I'll let you handle it, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, HB 166, members, is the companion bill to the Focus Act, the cell phone ban for cell phones in our classrooms. Senator Price moved for favorable, second Senator Hovey. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Our bill's given a favorable report. Thank you, Representative Halsey. Thank you for your work. I know you put about 2 years into this, so we look forward to getting it on the Senate floor and getting this passed into law. Thank you.
I appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Okay. Senator Garrett.
HB 447 by Representative Garrett.
Okay, I'm gonna handle this for, Chairman. We talked about this yesterday. Find a copy of the bill real quick. Well, basically what this does is this clarifies an old law when, the community colleges was under the, State Board of Education. And now the, community colleges has their own board of trustees and they're no longer under the K-12. But at that time, the, school buses provided transportation for not only K-12, but for community colleges. And this just clarifies and says that no longer will the students be allowed to, community colleges be allowed to use the K-12 bus for transportation. Senator Hatcher moved for a favorable, Senator Price seconds. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, bill's given a favorable report. Thank you, members. Okay, the final bill we have, and we are running tight on time because we have other committee meetings right behind this, which you call the last one.
HB 244 by Representative Butler.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members. Thank
Good
you so much for allowing me to come before you this morning. HB 244 expands the existing prohibitions on classroom discussion and instruction on gender identity and sexual orientation. The current law is it prohibits it from K through 5. This bill takes it pre-K through 12. I would like to point out that the State Department of Education is not opposing this bill, and that when a student enters a school, they still carry with them their First Amendment rights. They can absolutely talk to a nurse, a teacher, a counselor, whoever they want. This is spanning classroom discussions as such. It also includes prohibitions on sexual insignia like a pride flag.
Okay, thank you. And this time we'll begin our public hearing. Because of the lack of time, we have time for 2 opponents and 1 proponent. Paige. Okay, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you, senators. Hello, my name is Dr. Paige Gant, and I'm a constituent of District 7. I am here today to voice my opposition to HB 244. This is a bill that does not accomplish anything besides further creating an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty in school. Kids in middle school and high school are aware that gay and transgender people exist as they have access to the internet. Additionally, some of them are gay and transgender. Attempting to stifle discussions of such topics will not change these realities. Furthermore, regarding the flag or other insignia relating to or representing sexual orientation or gender identity ban, this bill only bans such things inside classrooms. Under this bill, these flags and insignias could be placed outside classrooms and in hallways. So, what does this bill actually accomplish in that regard? This bill is frankly a waste of the Senate's time, and y'all probably don't want another late night. For this reason, I urge you to vote no. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, the next opponent. Aaron.
Hello, my name is Aaron DeJager. I'm a member of District 7 with Senator Gibhan. Senate Bill 79 passed this year defines sex. This bill, HB 244, uses the word sex, but crucially, it also uses the term gender identity, which is not defined in this bill or anywhere else in state law. This bill also must be narrowed in scope to instruction material only. How can this law ban something which is undefined? This term, gender identity, is used to describe flags or insignia. This could be interpreted to ban a box of Girl Scout cookies, as the Girl Scouts are certainly based on gender identity. Another example is the Young Men's Christian Association, the YMCA. They have those little keychains that you scan in. Teacher can have those, that would be banned. Our flags and symbols of the women's suffrage movement, some proudly displayed on the 8th floor of this building, banned under this bill. Furthermore, teachers and employees are sometimes required by the First Amendment and federal law to display a pride flag or symbol, particularly when they are making announcements on behalf of a student organization or functioning as a faculty advisor. The ability for students to make speech using these resources is protected by the Constitution and the Equal Access Act of 1984, as well as the Supreme Court case Tinker versus Des Moines. This bill puts teachers in a position where they have to choose between violating federal or state law. This bill must be narrowed in scope to instructional material only. This ban on pride symbols and flags can also be used to arbitrarily shut down any speech by accusing it of being a pride symbol. For example, the logo of the Human Rights Campaign is an equal sign. Can we ban math teachers from using those equal signs? What happens when pride movements co-opt a brand name, state symbol, or person's name like they did with Anita Bryant? Are you now banned from driving a Subaru or saying Anita's name?
30 seconds.
The city flag for Cusco, Peru looks a lot like a pride flag, and that could also easily be banned, just like these other items. That is all I have. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. And the proponent that we have, you have 2 minutes. Ted,
Yes, sir. Good morning. We're ready to go?
roll.
All right. Thank you all for letting me speak. First of all, I want to say I appreciate our transgender and those opposing that. Come a long way. They drove up and down from Huntsville, very dedicated. But anyway, I am what's known as a detransitioner. I lived 12 years fully in that camp. I did everything you could to transition to facial operations, a breast augmentation in and out. I got rid of my male anatomy, 3 years of counseling. But I'm here to tell you, it's not all, yeah, go, wonderful, wonderful. There's a movement afoot, as you've seen, people like Chloe Cole, that detransitioning is doesn't get the positive press it should. And I'm here to tell you that going down this road is very dangerous. Like myself, I had buyer's remorse, but I am responsible for what I did. I do say that I was corrected yesterday. But typically, only what we get is gender affirming care. There is another solution. What other mental, emotional condition is treated by cutting your body off, body parts? It's insanity. This needs to be addressed by counseling and spiritual issues, not cutting off your body. And on top of that, it's extremely dangerous to propose this to youngsters. You may have heard of rapid gender identity onset in the adolescence of females. It's because this is pushed. Social media, ads, so on and so forth. But again, when you go in the glitter club, you're welcome. But when you leave, you get a target on your back. So what I'm saying is, what you hear.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, Representative Butler, you have a couple of minutes and then we'll have.
Yeah, just in closing, I would like to say this does align with President Trump's executive order. And just recently, we had almost 40,000 applications for the CHOOSE Act that tells you there is clearly a dissatisfaction with what we're doing in public education. One of the biggest complaints I hear from parents is the woke ideology and the sexualization of children. And I would encourage you to pass this bill.
Okay. Senator Hatcher.
Representative Butler.
Yes, sir.
You just lost me when you said the executive order of President Trump, the gentleman who has 34 felonies. And in addition to that, woke, this strange kind of language that's being used. I would rather be woke than asleep. Let me also say this. This bill was tested in Florida, right, in 2022?
That's correct, yes, sir.
It went to the courts?
It was a settlement. The courts didn't settle it.
And so the courts did not settle it?
No, sir. They reached an out-of-court settlement.
And that settlement was what?
It's still in place. They didn't modify the bill.
I'm sorry?
It's still in place what they have, but they did modify the bill in the settlement.
There were some modifications.
Correct.
Because I'm looking at them. The other piece that I would have is, you do know that as a body, a legislative body, we don't get to legislate morality. We just don't. And my suspicion is what happens when we get this kind of legislation, which I basically have placed in the category of cultural distractions. Because the same person you just mentioned around an executive order has me really nervous about the people that who report to me at Head Start and that demographic. And so I'm concerned about those pieces that absolutely affect people in their lives when it comes down to their daily living, utilities included. So I'm concerned about the substance of a bill that basically says that this is what happens when your fears gain a hearing and then people get invalidated. The other piece that concerns me, and I do want to make these comments and not be seen as being hostile about this, because that's not my spirit. I am concerned about the piece I just mentioned when I say, this language of, I think it will say, don't say they, then it said, don't say gay, all these different pieces that were in here as a part of identity issues. Here's what I'm concerned about for our young people. Because we do have, this is ubiquitous, it's all over the place. And I do think that there is a place within homes, parents, churches, synagogues, where people may be engaging in this kind of thoughtful conversation around what they might choose to do. As for our body, I don't think that this is the place for us if we are actually going to be serious about governing. Education policy is allowing us to say, here are some things that we think might be necessary for at least our Board of Education to look at, where the experts are there and they can do the proper things associated with what would be in a curriculum. I defer in many instances to them around those issues as an educator of more than 30 years. So I'm concerned that I cannot hold anyone responsible from an educator standpoint for what I have not taught them. But I am not leaning on, as a legislator myself, the legislative body to do that work. And finally, here's our real concern. There's an interesting piece in Shakespeare's Hamlet where Laertes is speaking to Polonius, and he says something to the effect of, to thine own self be true. And my question always for that is whether or not that person knows to what, when they say to thine own self be true, do you know the person to whom you're being true, right? Because if we lean back on some of what this legislation grows out of, it grows out of those 2 commandments in Matthew. Basically where it says, love thy neighbor as thyself, and you know that piece. And so a part of this for us, I hope, is not making others feel in any way alienated and invalidated in this process that we call legislating. I just want to put this out there, and with that, Mr. Chairman, I do want to call for a voice vote.
Okay.
On this one.
All right, thank you for your comments. Okay, do you hear a motion? Favorable? Second? Senator Butler? Okay, roll call vote.
Senator Butler?
Aye.
Senator Justine?
Aye.
Senator Figurs? Senator Hatcher?
No.
Senator Hovey?
Aye.
Senator Kitchens? Senator Price? Senator Shellnutt? Senator Smitherman? Senator Stutz? Favorable.
Representative Butler, it's a little late in the session to be bringing this bill. We're gonna get it out of committee. Not gonna make any promises as to where this bill goes from here, okay? But I told you we would give you a hearing in here and have a chance to vote. So I appreciate your work on this, but if you're gonna bring something like this next year, you need to get it early so that we're not backed up with all the House bills that we currently have before we try to move forward with anything like this.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Members, committee members, thank you for your work this session. This will be the last ed policy. I commit to you that I'm gonna do a better job of screening some of these bills before they get to this committee. I think we've had about 4 that you've had to make some tough votes on. And as chair of this committee, I'm gonna do a better job next year of making sure that what we bring before this committee for policy and education better improves the educational quality of the children of the state of Alabama. For that, we're adjourned. Thank you.